everybody, and welcome once again to Real Shame. It's a weekly show where we talk about movies on our list of movie blind spots, movies that we haven't seen that we need to get around to seeing. So we're trying to do just that. My name is Andy.
And I'm Adam.
And on today's episode, we're going to dive into the world of animation, specifically from the lovely country of Japan, anime from the 1990s. But before we get into that one, we always like to start Monday's episode with just what we've been watching lately, and since the last time we filmed, I guess I should say. Yep. So, Adam, what have you been watching lately?
So, I've been watching a couple things. I got into Doom Patrol recently. It started on DC Universe, but now it's on HBO Max, and it might be an HBO Max exclusive now. Mm-hmm. Have you seen any of those episodes?
No, not yet.
So, for me, Doom Patrol is filling the promise that Legion gave us.
Okay.
Because Legion was supposed to be this weird, trippy kind of TV show, and it had some trippy elements, but it felt pretty plain, I think. And it was just confusing more than anything.
You missed the final season of that, which got really trippy.
Okay.
But yeah, I know what you're saying.
So, but Doom Patrol is just out there. It's crazy. It is weird. The first season's really solid. Second season, because we're about 6 or 7 episodes in the second season as of filming, it's not as good as the first season, but I really, really enjoyed the first season. I watched Metro with, who is it? Is it not
Eddie Murphy,
Eddie
right?
Murphy, yeah. And that movie's just a lot of fun. It's like a negotiator kind of thing where he's a hostage negotiator and all that kind of stuff. Watch Stargate, because Kirby hasn't seen that. This is continuing our 90s movies.
Oh, she's never seen it.
Never seen it.
Okay.
Stargate is not as good as I remember. It is so slow.
Uh-oh.
It's actually painfully slow, honestly.
Really?
It was tough for me to get through. And then we watched The Mummy, which I still think is on your list.
Yes.
The Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Yeah, I think so.
And that movie is excellent, and I can't wait till we talk about it, because that's a movie I'll gush about.
I know I've at least seen parts of it, but I don't think that I've seen it all the way through, and I'm pretty positive I've not seen any of the sequels or any of the Scorpion King stuff or any of that. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, what about you? What have you been watching?
Well, first I want to say, so I have HBO Max, but I saw that Doom Patrol was on there, and I actually do want to start watching that, but I'm a little disappointed because they don't have all the DC Universe stuff on there yet. Like, I know some of it I think they're going to get, like, because I want to watch the lone season of Swamp Thing, and then they have the Titans show, which I don't think is on there. I think maybe Batwoman is on there. Maybe.
I don't know, because it's a CW show.
Ruby Rose already was like, I'm out of here.
She's out of here, yeah. They're gonna...
So they've already got somebody else to do it, whose name I cannot remember.
I'm waiting for them to get more stuff on there, too. The whole DC Universe, HBO Max, that's all cluster they're trying to figure out and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully they'll get... I probably what's going to happen is DC Universe is going to go away. Yeah. It's all going to get rolled on HBO Max. So I'm just waiting for that. I did watch a bunch of stuff on DC Universe through their free trial, but I don't have a subscription to it anymore.
Gotcha. So I watched another cheesy 80s action movie that's almost kind of a ripoff of Rambo. It's called Steel Justice.
Steel Justice.
And if you remember Martin Kove, who's the evil sensei in The Karate Kid, he's actually the hero in this movie. He's a good guy for once. Because I think he's a bad guy in some other movies too. But he played, because the movie's called Steele, Steele. It's his last name. His name is John Steele. But basically, he comes back from Vietnam and has to kick a lot of ass and
isn't the Steele version of Superman also like someone that has that same spelling as Steele? I feel like
might be.
I feel like that's been done before.
Yeah. But it's a fun movie, and it's fun to see Martin Kove as like a good guy. So continuing Steele, I watched another movie with a character named Dixon Steele, this time played by Humphrey Bogart. So we talked about Nicholas Ray when we talked about Rebel Without a Cause, because he directed that. He directed a movie called In a Lonely Place, I think 5 years before Rebel Without a Cause, but it's kind of like a film noir, or at least classified as a film noir, although... Yes, it technically is, but I consider film noir to be more like gangster stuff, and there's no gangsters in it at all. But it does deal with kind of like a murder mystery kind of thing. Anyway, Humphrey Bogart is Dixon Steele. It's like a really cool movie, a really cool character. Not Jim Jarmusch. I'm reading my notes here. Nicholas Ray's wife at the time, Gloria Graham, plays the love interest in the movie, although they separated during filming But I was going to say, leading from that, Nicholas Ray, towards the end of his career, he couldn't really find work. So he ended up getting hired at different universities and teaching film. Okay. And one of his students at one point was Jim Jarmusch, who later went on to be, obviously, a fairly famous director. Just most recently did The Dead Don't Die, which I never did see. But I watched Jim Jarmusch's very first movie called Stranger Than Paradise, which won him all kinds of acclaim. I'm not sure if it won any awards or anything like that, but it definitely put him on the map. I thought it was okay. It's very, very slow.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of movie, like Roger Ebert gave it 4 stars, and it's gotten all kinds of really good reviews. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I was checking my watch while I was watching it. I mean, it was just okay to me. I didn't love it. I watched Guns Akimbo.
Oh, really? The Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes.
That looks cool and crazy.
No, it's okay.
It's okay. That's disappointing.
I mean, I had an okay time watching it. I wouldn't say it's bad. I would say it's worth watching. It's on Amazon Prime Video, at least right now it is. So you can watch it for free or whatever on that. That's why I watched it. But I found it to be pretty unmemorable. And once I was done with it, I kind of just forgot about it. Gotcha. Honestly. And then finally, I watched the first 3 seasons, because they're the only 3 seasons right now, of Glow, the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling on Netflix, which I think is a fun show.
Yeah, I think I got through the first season. I'm not sure if I got very far in the second season. I think Kirby's watched all of them. I don't know. I lost interest. And
I like it. I mean, I think whatever her name is, Alison Brie is pretty funny in the show as she plays her like Zoya the Destroyer wrestler persona, and then the other kind of side of her, side of the Glow or whatever, the Betty Gilpin, or I think is the actress's name, plays Liberty Bell. But kind of the two of them are kind of the 2 leads of the show. It's not amazing, but I think it's a fun enough show, and they've only got 1 more season coming out, which is not out because of COVID-19. I don't think it's even really in production. So probably be a while before season number 4 comes out. But that's what I've been watching.
All right.
Yes.
Well, let's dig into our feature review.
Let's do it.
And our feature review is 1993's Ninja Scroll.
見事じゃ。目にも止まらぬ居合の太刀筋が風を裂き、かまいたちのように敵を断ち切るとはな。お主の敵ではない。わしと手を組まぬか。このような連中を相手にするにはぜひともその腕が必要じゃ。
冗談言うな。これ以上化け物の相手はごめんだ。
そうもいくまい。奴らが放ってはおかぬ。お主はすでに鬼門8人衆の1人を倒したからの。
Jubei is a mercenary or sword for hire. He gets caught up in a conflict that's trying to overthrow an existing clan. He's joined by Kanjiro and Dakukan as he battles the 8 demons of Kimon, and maybe some demons from his past. So you're going to have to pardon my pronunciation of these Japanese actors and directors.
Same here.
So please forgive us if we butcher their names. We're going to try our best. It's directed by Yoshiaki Kiwajawi, I want to say. That looks
close enough.
Close enough. And so I chose Ninja Scroll because this was when I got introduced to it in the late 90s, early 2000s. This was like the gateway drug for anime. Yeah. The big ones were Ghost in the Shell and Akira, and those were all sci-fi movies. Those were all, taking place in a futuristic Tokyo. They're all cyberpunk kind of themes to it.
Yeah.
And this was the first anime that I learned about, or that got kind of popular in my group of friends, that was based on history or based in the past, based in feudal Japan. So I just wanted us to grab an anime and watch an anime, and it's probably been about 20 years since I've seen this movie. So Andy, before you tell us what you think about Ninja Scroll, do you have a lot of experience with anime, and what did you know about Ninja Scroll going into it?
I do not have a lot of experience with anime, and honestly, I feel like I don't want to say I don't have a lot of experience with animation, but I was thinking about this the other day, actually, after I watched Ninja Scroll and the movie that we paired it with, and I thought to myself, animated movies to me are like Italian food.
Yeah.
I like Italian food a lot, but I actually never crave it so much to where I suggest it as a possibility. Like if I'm going out to eat with somebody.
Okay.
I don't. But if I'm in a group of people and they all go, we want Italian food, I'm all for it. And if you put a plate full of Italian food down in front of me, I'll devour it.
I'll just wait for like a backhanded compliment.
No. I like Italian food just fine. It's not one of those things that I ever really think about like first and foremost. Like I want to eat Italian food today. Well, maybe pizza. But other than that, other types of Italian food, I don't really ever sit there and go, you know what, today I'm going to eat Italian food. And it's kind of like usually when I sit down to watch a movie, animation is probably the furthest thing from my. And it's not that I dislike animated movies any more than I dislike Will Smith. I just don't think of those like as possibilities really. First and foremost, they're always kind of lower on my list. But when it comes to anime or Japanese animation, I have seen Ghost in the Shell. You and I saw Akira at the theater.
We did.
Not too long ago, but I had seen it before then, and I still don't know that I understand it.
No one does.
But I actually like both of those. I mean, you mentioned both of those. I actually like both of those. So I did know that Ninja Scroll was a very popular anime, and I knew it had ninjas in it from the title.
Yeah.
But I really didn't know.
But no scrolls.
No scrolls. I didn't really know anything about it besides that.
Yeah.
But I liked it a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean, I thought it was cool. Like, when all the 8 demons that he has to fight, I thought it was badass because they're all, like, very different. Yes. They have, like, these really, really cool...
So we're going to spoil Ninja Scroll, but since we're talking about the demons, I want to ask.
Yeah.
Did you catch the rock guy getting poisoned by the girl? Like, did you?
No, I didn't.
That was like the biggest shock for me when I first watched it. Was like, whoa.
Because it almost leads you to believe that Jinbei or Jubei's sword did it. Like like he has some magical sword, but then in reality he was only able to kill the guy because she had weakened him with the poison. No, I thought that was amazing. I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah, so I've kind of cooled on it a little bit since I've seen it. I think since I know it's not as surprising to me because I know what was going to happen, and there's parts I was anticipating to see and stuff. So I think for me it kind of cooled a little bit. The most interesting thing for me in watching this was that Jubei actually he doesn't really kill all those guys.
No.
The first 3 are killed by either, the girl whose name is Kanjiro or, by themselves. And then the other ones he gets kind of help in destroying. So I think it's really interesting that you have this main protagonist, this, well-known swordsman. You kind of get to see him be awesome, and you have those guys he's conflicting with at the beginning that show that he's a really amazing swordsman.
Yeah.
But really in the movie he doesn't. It's not him that kind of kills them, which I think is it's not something I ever caught in my watching, but I did catch it this time around, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I remember the one guy gets like blown up by the other one, it's because he's getting electrocuted.
Yep.
Jubei is busy getting electrocuted.
And then
he gets lucky.
The wasp or bee guy got basically like stung from the inside out.
Yeah.
And the water. The action in this movie is awesome, and I think that was the reason why it got so popular in my friend group and in the U.S. is that it's just you didn't see action scenes like this in those kind of movies, or they weren't as predominant and stuff. And it's super violent, and there's also would it be nudity?
Yes, and I was going to say it's graphically violent. It's also graphically sexual in certain parts. But the people who do the molestation, I guess, is really that's all it is. They do get their comeuppance, definitely. So they definitely have that happen to them. But yes, it is not for kids.
So what else did you think about?
I like you said, the action in it is really cool. I liked, for example, when he's fighting the blind swordsman in the forest and they're kind of rushing back and forth. All of that stuff. His whole battle, or even if he, like you say, doesn't even actually end up killing the demon or whatever, but his kind of interaction with all of those, I thought was awesome. So much so that the rest of the story, like they've got to find the gold or they got to put it on a ship. I don't care at all about that, right? I mean, that's almost like a MacGuffin or something. The main crux of the story is him doing battle with these 8 different personas.
Yeah, because I think
but that's enough to make it really, really watchable.
Because the story is, I guess, that Jubei kind of finds himself thrusted into is that I guess they're faking that these these villagers got poisoned so they can take this gold out. And, ultimately the main bad guy, who I don't have his name on here. Oh, Jinma, yeah.
Like it's Jinma in the movie, or the one the version that we watched, and then I was looking on Wikipedia or something because I was actually looking for the cast or the characters' names. They put Gemma with 2 M's. So I think it's both. I don't know. Jinma is what I saw.
He basically stealing gold for, I guess, his master, but eventually he just not going to give it to him and wants to become like a. I don't know the correct terminology for feudal Japan clans and all that kind of stuff, but he basically wants to become the leader of his own and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. That stuff is not interesting, and it's stuff I forget about whenever I think about the movie. And I think it's just a way to kind of give us these set pieces to the movie and push the conflict forward.
But it works. It works. Yeah. And the gold does play a part into how he takes down the final guy.
Yeah.
So it is necessary.
And I feel like you get echoes of this in popular culture because you can draw ties to that to what happens in Game of Thrones. And, with the blind swordsman stuff, I get a lot of Mortal Kombat a little bit on that.
Yeah.
Both with, the movie with Scorpion fighting in the woods to, I think it's Johnny Cage, and also with the blind swordsman and later on in the games and stuff like that. So I think there are fingerprints of this on things that kind of occur afterwards.
Well, I learned that you mentioned Kagero, the female, that basically, so in the movie, her body is pretty much all poison because she is the poison taster, but she's immune. But she is a kunoichi, which is a female ninja. I did not know there was a term for a female ninja, but that's what it is.
Same here.
Kunoichi. So the old man, another thing about the movie that I was a little disappointed. Dakuan is his name. He uses that little camouflage technique once, he never uses it again.
He doesn't really fight.
I thought that's going to come into play. That's going to be Chekhov's camouflage technique. That's going to come into play later on in the movie, but they don't do anything with it. I was a little disappointed because when he did that, because he basically blends into a tree.
Yeah, he's like one.
And I was like, holy crap, he's like a shapeshifter.
He's like one of those bugs, the stick bugs or whatever.
Yeah, he can just blend in with stuff, and that's how he eludes. I think the guy with the metal claw or something like that, the shadow guy.
Vega, basically.
But,
or maybe more, Street Fighter was before this, but
I was a little disappointed that he didn't do anything with that. But overall, I thought this was a very solid movie, very action-packed. It moves well. I mean, because it's 90 minutes or whatever. But I really, really dug it. I was glad we put it on the list and glad I watched it.
Well, awesome. Yeah, like I said, this was just one of those gateway kind of drugs. It was... Ninja Scroll and Cowboy Bebop were always the movies that you kind of showed people that didn't really think they would like anime or kind of stuck up their nose about anime. You'd show them those 2 movies, and then you'd be like, okay. Usually they'd warm up to the idea of watching anime.
So my old roommate years ago, back in the 90s, I'm pretty sure he rented Ninja Scroll at some point. But every time he rented anime, in my head, I was thinking it was all hentai or something. Yeah. Because I think a couple times he did rent some hentai. Yeah. And so when he would rent stuff, I wasn't sure what it was. And I was like, I don't really want to watch that. So I was always like, nah. He'd be like, hey, you want to watch Ninja Scroll?
Perfect Blue?
yeah. And I'd be like, nah, I don't think so. So I missed out on all that stuff back in the 90s. But I do remember hearing about it, at least from him and other people, just hearing snatches of, oh, Ninja Scroll's really cool, or Cowboy Bebop or whatever. But I just never got into it. But again, not because I have some sort of aversion to it. And now after watching Ninja Scroll, I'm like, hey, I should catch up on some more of kind of the classics, I guess.
Yeah, and that whole period of time, I really got into anime and was watching a lot of it. The other thing that's kind of interesting in this that I've seen in a lot of animes is the reluctant kind of main character, right? So Jubei doesn't really seem like he wants to do this, and he kind of gets poisoned by Dakuan. And that's the reason why he ends up doing this stuff. And then you get in our next movie, you kind of have the same kind of vibe in that. In Trigun, you have Dash Stampede, who basically is aloof the whole movie and doesn't really want to do it, series and stuff like that. So it's an interesting kind of trait that you see. I've seen a lot in the kind of animes I've watched, where you have this protagonist who really is trying his best not to get put into this thing.
You think Dakuan, the old man, just really wanted to be a matchmaker?
He did.
He's like, I want these 2 to get together.
Yeah, well, and then she died.
Yeah. They don't actually really ever get together. Oops.
So, did you look up any critic reviews on this?
Yeah, so this was not reviewed by Roger Ebert, or, well, at least not. It's not on RogerEbert.com,
Oh, yeah.
and good luck finding any of Gene Siskel's reviews, at least in one place. They're probably all over the place. But I didn't see where either one of those guys did. But Rotten Tomatoes, it's 94% fresh, 89% audience score. And also Leonard Maltin did not review Ninja Scroll. They're like, anime, PU. No, I couldn't find any reviews from them. But still, 94%. 89% audience score is pretty good.
Yeah, I say it's about right. So the movie I decided to pair this up with, I was trying to find, and email me if you know this, I was trying to find the influences for Ninja Scroll. So I was actually trying to find a live action movie that I can kind of pair with this, that we can, draw the lines and see what really influenced it. But that search kind of came up and didn't give me any results. So I tried to look for other animes that are in the kind of same vein that are also well received. And the next movie we're going to review is Sword of the Stranger. And this is an anime that I haven't seen prior to this episode. And so, but I hear really good things about it. It's been highly ranked on a lot of lists. Like, it's been ranked around Ninja Scroll, and the subject matter from the description I read seems very on point. So that's why I chose another anime to go with this, and that anime is Sword of the Stranger. All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap up our episode. If you've seen Ninja Scroll and you feel differently than us, shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, leave a comment down below. Follow us on Instagram @realshame. And if you want a question and answered here, shoot us an email, and we answer those in our following reviews. And stay tuned next time as we dig into Sword of the Stranger. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.